Over 140,000 farms lost in 5 years, according to the U.S. Farm Bureau. This is by Daniel Munch of the Farm Bureau. Between 2017 and 22, the number of farms in the U.S. declined by 141,733, or 7%, according to the USDA's 2022 Census of Agriculture, released on February 13. Acres operated by farm operations during the same time frame declined by 20.1 million, that's 2.2%, a loss equivalent to an area about the size of Maine. Only 1.88% of acres operated and 1% of farm operations were classified under a non-family corporate farm structure. Conducting every 5 years, the Census of Agriculture collects data on land use and ownership, producer characteristics, production practices, income and expenditures. USDA defines a farm as an operation that produces and sold or normally would have sold $1,000 or more of agricultural products during the census year. While the number of farm operations and acres operated declined, the value of agricultural production increased, rising from $389 billion in 2017 to $533 billion in 2022, 40% nominally and 17% adjusted for inflation. These updated numbers highlight the continuing trend of fewer operations farming fewer acres of land but producing more each year. In addition to agricultural census data, USDA released survey-based estimates on farm numbers once every year. Using this annual survey data dating back to 1950, the trend of fewer operations farming fewer acres becomes even more obvious. Since 1950, the number of farm operations has declined by 3.75 million, that's 66%, and the number of acres farmed declined by 27%, slightly less than twice the size of Texas. Technological advancements that have increased productivity, such as feed conversion ratios in livestock and yield per acre in crops, have allowed farmers and ranchers to produce more with less, even as the U.S. population more than doubled, going from 159 million in 1950 to 340 million in 2023. And the global population more than tripled, 2.5 billion to 8 billion during the same period. Farm operations between 2017 and 22, all states but 5, Alaska, Delaware, Iowa, Maryland, New Jersey, and Rhode Island, lost farms. Texas had the largest numerical loss, nearly 18,000 farm operations, followed by Oklahoma, 8,153, and Missouri, 7,433. Iowa gained the most farm operations, 807, followed distantly by Alaska, 183. In terms of percentage loss of farm operations, New Mexico experienced the largest decline of 16.2%, followed by Arizona of 12.5%, and Wyoming 11.7%. Alaska, 183 farm gain was the largest percentage increase at 18.5%. Though the presence of regional trends in farm operations losses appears limited, during conditions that battered much of the West in 2021 and 22 may be responsible, in part for the higher farm loss percentages in those states. Across states that gained farms, most were within the category of earning over $1 million in sales, except in Alaska, where the biggest gains were in farms earning between $5,000 and $50,000. Area operated. In 2022, census also indicates a decline of just over 20 million acres, 2.2% of total, in acreage operated. Colorado led in terms of numerical decline, with 1.6 million fewer acres being farmed in 2022 compared to 2017, followed by Texas, 1.56 million, and Oklahoma, 1.26 million. Only 3 states, Alabama, Alaska, Rhode Island, had increased in operating area. By percent decline, the map of operating acreage looks quite different. Hawaii leads with a loss of 7.2%, of operated area, followed by Virginia and Maine, both experiencing a loss of 6.3%, and Washington experiencing a loss of 5.6% between 2017 and 22. Counties in the West had the largest swings in acreage operated, likely linked to the sheer size of counties with a significant proportion of open and undeveloped land. Now, economic classes. New agriculture census data also allows analysis of farm numbers in areas operated by economic class and the market value of agricultural products sold. Economic sales classes are defined by summing the sales of agricultural products and government program payments, and the market value of agricultural products sold represents the gross market value before taxes and production expenses of all agricultural products sold or removed from an operation. Farm typology. USDA also reports the number of farms and acres operated by farm type. This section of the report captures the different ownership structures of farming operations and includes family-held corporations, family and individual filings, partnerships, corporations, and other, which includes institutional research, reservations, and other owner entities. The conclusion. In 2022, Census of Agriculture provides an in-depth look at the U.S. farm landscape over the past 5 years, with a loss of 141,733 farm operations, representing 7% decline, and reduction of 20.1 million acres under cultivation, equivalent to the size of Maine. The agricultural sector has faced significant shifts. Though the data shows an ongoing consolidation of farms into fewer, larger operations, it also highlights the adaptability of farmers and ranchers. Despite fewer farms and reduced acreage, the value of agricultural production has increased by 40%, reaching $543 billion in 2022. The Census of Agriculture paints a picture of what we have lost and of what more could be lost without firm support. And this is on Zero Hedge by the Farm Bureau by Daniel Munch. Please leave your comments. Thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.